morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where first off, instead of the viewer question today, I'm going to reveal the winners of the 3 Age of Adeline Blu-rays, courtesy of our friends at Dolby Atmos. That, of course, is Dolby's sound mixing system that they use not only for theatrical releases, but also for Blu-ray releases like The Age of Adeline. And this Blu-ray came out last week, but 3 of you, 3 BTT viewers, are getting a free copy through the mail. So who are the winners? Now again, just to reiterate the rules, we did a little something more creative this time, and that's where I asked you to tweet me and include the hashtag Dolby Atmos as to what you would do if you found yourself suddenly immortal, as Adeline does in the movie. And you guys were really creative with this. You always impress me with your one-sentence reviews or your limited tweets to these challenges, limited in the rules, and you always find ways to really impress despite those limitations. So thank you to everybody who entered. And also, Age of Adeline didn't do particularly well at the box office, so the fact that so many of you participated in this giveaway not only is potentially a good sign for Age of Adeline, its longevity, and people may be discovering it beyond its theatrical release, but also maybe you guys were just, you liked the change in the contest rules. It wasn't just a one-sentence review. So I'll try to be a little more creative going forward as well. But anyway, I have the 3 winners picked out, and we're going to do them third to first place. But everybody, the prize is the same for all of them, a Blu-ray. And if you hear your name mentioned, go check your Twitter account, and I've sent you a direct message on how to go about getting your free copy. So I have to say, I was really flattered that a number of you included me in your lifelong plans, your immortal plans. I was part of, your plans for immortality and beyond the trailer, and that was just so flattering. And thank you very much for thinking of me. I appreciate it. So I wanted to pick one of those kind of entries, and so I put that in third place. And the winner in that regard is Stephen D. Clark, who I like the angle that he took. So he said, at Grace Randolph, if I could live forever, I would spend every day trying to get one of my questions answered on Morning Movie News. Smiley face. I loved that. I thought that was funny. And also I thought it was a good opportunity for me to just let you know, I'm always looking for new questions. Don't give up. I can only answer one question an episode, and sometimes like today I don't get one, but I do keep a track of them, and just because your question is answered the very next day doesn't mean it's not on deck. But I love your questions, and I'm glad that there are those of you who aren't going to give up, even if you don't have your question answered at first. Please, take heart in knowing that I'm aware of my limitations, my own, to answer questions, and I'm trying to, change it up as much as possible. So, Stephen, I like that. I thought that was very funny, and you've got a Blu-ray coming your way. Now, second place went to a BTT viewer who's a regular. I haven't spoken to Georgina in a while, but I always remember her because she made the she made the extra little trip to come and visit me at New York Comic-Con. She was already attending, but when I say little trip, I mean to come up to the little booth where I was reporting for Newsarama that year. So I really appreciated that. And Georgina, as a comic book fan, of course, would spend her immortality doing something comic book related. So she said, at Grace Randolph, hashtag Dolby Atmos, if immortal, I will learn every martial art, hand-to-hand combat fight, acrobatics, etc., and become a vigilante. So good use of your time, Georgina, and using it to help others, to help the general good. So I thought that was great. So Georgina, thank you for entering, and I hope you're doing well. And then first place, I thought this was really great. A lot of people were very altruistic with their immortality, which of course is very commendable. But I really liked Matthew's realism, with how he would help people. So Matthew, I felt it was a very grounded response. So Matthew said, at Grace Randolph, and there are probably a number of Matthews, so this is at Gonzalez LHS. So at Gonzalez LHS said, if immortal, I would spend my life watching over my offspring and give them words of wisdom in Dolby Atmos HD surround sound. So that's great. But also I just like the idea, some people, said they would try and get everyone they know to live forever, which, also very commendable. I would try and do the same thing. But, the rules where it's just you, and that's part of the tragedy of it as well, if you see the movie Age of Adeline. And so Matthew, I think, tried to make the best of a bad situation, being like, and also I like that Matthew would continue to have offspring, right? Like, I'm going to continue to remarry and just keep having kids. I thought that was great. Or not marry, you know, one night stands, like a mortal rock star, but I would still watch over my children and, you know, kind of guide them. So I thought that was nice. I thought that was really good. So congratulations to everybody who won. Again, that's Stephen D. Clark, Georgina Quinones, and Matthew, aka Gonzalez LHS. So thank you so much, and look to your Twitter accounts to the direct message, you know, where the messages are for a message from me about getting this free Blu-ray. And also thank you to everyone who entered. You know, always appreciated, and you know, good luck on the next one. All right, so let's move on to today's news stories. It was a little bit of a slow weekend, but nevertheless, I have one big news story and then some interesting developments. So the first is on Jennifer Lawrence, who is once again making headlines as she tries to put together her post-Hunger Games and X-Men career. She said she might go back to X-Men if the paycheck was big enough, but so far no deal is in place or even, you know, being discussed. So she's trying to find other movies to be in, and she has a couple of deals signed. For instance, the only thing that's definitely on her slate, which she's making next, is Passengers with Chris Pratt. I think that has the potential to be huge, and it better be considering how much they've had to shell out for salaries on that movie. We've discussed that before. But she's also, you know, as we know, writing a script with Amy Schumer, and also has that Steven Spielberg war photographer bio that she also is tentatively going to do. But the only thing that's definitely set on her schedule is Passengers. So lo and behold, she has another project that's entering for that to be her follow-up project to Passengers, and that's something called Red Sparrow. Now this is very interesting. Let me first tell you how Red Sparrow, where it comes from and what the premise is, and then why I think Fox wants to make it. So Red Sparrow is the story of a young Russian woman who, against her will, is brought into the KGB. And her job is to be a seductress to, you know, infiltrate the CIA and, basically report back to the KGB on what's going on there. And of course, the character Jennifer Lawrence would play doesn't want to do it, and she's called a Red Sparrow. I think you kind of see where this is going. But anyway, she would reteam with Francis Lawrence, who, of course, was her director on the majority of the Hunger Games films. He did a fantastic job. I wonder what this means for his upcoming Odyssey film that he's supposed to do for Lionsgate with potentially Hugh Jackman, but we'll see. But this would be at Fox also. This would be them reteaming not at Lionsgate, but at another studio. And then, of course, another hot role will be the male CIA operative that she has an affair with, and they find themselves drawn to each other, and maybe they don't want to work for their governments. Maybe they want to run away together, etc., etc. I would say, please don't let that male operative be played by Bradley Cooper. Enough is enough already. Go find another male co-star. I think that's one of the most exciting things about Passengers, is that she's teaming up with Chris Pratt. I just think there's kind of like an all-star element to that movie, right? Like the two biggest names in Hollywood right now in the male and female categories teaming up. I think that kind of adds a special element to Passengers. So if they can try and find a similar thing for this Red Sparrow movie with a different male lead, I think that this film and Jennifer Lawrence would benefit as well. Now, some people, in the comment section when the news was breaking this morning were like, oh, there's already the Americans, and we've already done the KGB thing, etc., etc., etc. But they're missing the obvious connection. Red Sparrow is very clearly like Black Widow, right? And if Marvel won't make a Black Widow movie, it's only a matter of time until someone else swoops in and tries to make, basically their version of a Black Widow movie. And I think to some degree, this is it. You have a very big star in Jennifer Lawrence in the lead. You're dealing with, and being indoctrinated into a program against one's will, being an operative. There's a code name, Red Sparrow. It's very much like Black Widow. It's crazy like Black Widow. And if I were Kevin Feige and I picked up the paper this morning, the trades, or I logged onto my iPad and looked at them, I would be like, holy crap, I'm going to take so long dragging my feet on this, and maybe now he can do it because he's freed himself from Isaac Perlmutter and the Marvel New York Comics office. But if he doesn't make this Black Widow movie soon, someone else is going to make a Black Widow movie, and then he will not be able to do it, or he'll be forced to compete with that film. So I think it's very interesting, and you know what? Go for it, Fox, and it would just rub salt in the wound, considering that Fox, of course, has the film rights to a number of Marvel properties like Fantastic Four and X-Men. So if they could also rob Marvel of a Black Widow movie, that would probably be delicious indeed. So I'm curious, what do you think of this project for Jennifer Lawrence? Do you think that it is kind of like another, a non-canon Black Widow movie? And also, what do you think that Jennifer Lawrence should do for her career post-Hunger Games and X-Men? After Passengers, what do you think should be her next project? She has Joy coming out as well. That's her next movie that will be released. But would you go with the war photographer? Would you go with this Red Sparrow movie? What would you do? All right, so that's the first story of the day. Now, the second story, it's a short story, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that we're just coming out of the Toronto Film Festival, Toronto International Film Festival, and shockingly, there's no clear front runner for the awards season. I mean, usually there's a movie that everyone loves, right? Like everybody can't stop talking about it. It doesn't have a single bad review. It's the front runner, because Toronto is like a really big campaign stop for awards season. Like every big movie usually makes a pit stop there. But no frontrunner has emerged, which I find fascinating. I think the reviews are mixed for every movie across the board. Maybe The Danish Girl is the frontrunner to come out of this, but I've seen bad reviews for it coming out of Toronto, and I think it also played at Venice. So. And actually, one of you wrote me and said that the movie was disappointing. So I don't think there's any slam dunk, which I think is a little troublesome for the upcoming awards season. And as I said, I believe recently, I still think that this award season's success is going to rely almost entirely on whether or not Mad Max gets nominated in the Best Picture category, and hopefully maybe director as well. I mean, and not just in set design and cinematography, etc. I think that's like slam dunks for Mad Max, but it really should get a Best Picture and Best Director nomination. And I think that's the only thing that could potentially save the Oscars from a viewership standpoint. We'll see. Maybe the hosts, but we'll see. But I just think it's fascinating that no clear frontrunners have emerged. And I'm curious, have you been following the buzz from Toronto? What movies have piqued your interest? And what do you think? Do you think Hollywood and the Oscars, the telecast, should be worried that there's no frontrunner? I guess this also, on a positive light, means that this is anybody's game, and that any movie could potentially swoop in there and steal the spotlight. So for the final story of the day, I actually want to talk about the Lego Brickumentary, which came out a couple of months ago, but I just watched it last night on iTunes. It was one of those day-and-date releases, which makes total sense because who wants to pay money to see the Lego documentary in theaters, right? I even dragged my feet watching it on the small screen, but I'm glad that I did. And the reason I want to talk about it today, not only because I thought it was a good documentary, but because it portrayed something fascinating, like a real breaking point for the Lego company that saved it, and which I think echoes what Hollywood is currently going through. And that's where the Lego company, they said right around 2003, 2000, it was really at a low point, and it was almost going to go out of business. But what saved it was they had like a moment of crisis, right, where they discovered that fans, thanks to the internet, were kind of almost taking over the brand and leading the charge, right? Lego was no longer dictating the way the company grew and how its toys were used. And they really had to have, again, I said, a moment of crisis, a moment of conscience. They had to look deep inside, and they said they had, legal meetings and meetings with the top brass, and they were like, what do we want to do? Do we want to go after these people with litigation and shut them down, or do we want them to let them flourish and hopefully help Lego as a company and rebuild interest in it? Rebuild. Aha! See what I did there? But anyway, it worked. They took the open source route, and Lego is stronger than ever, to the point where people are making documentaries about it. And it was fascinating, for instance, to learn that the architecture series was dreamed up by this guy who doesn't work for Lego. He was just a fan. He was an architect who was out of a job, and he came up with using Lego in this manner. And Lego found him and decided to use his idea and actually make it part of their brand. Also, he came up with another idea, which I was like, I would buy that immediately. It's Lego, basically, to build your own Lego roller coaster that's functional, which I think is absolutely spectacular because it allows you to build rides. I think that's like Roller Coaster Tycoon on steroids. It's like tangible roller coaster tycoon, which I just think is absolutely phenomenal. Also, there's another thing that they're working on, which fans of Lego I'm sure are already aware of, where they have a contest that was dreamed up. The whole idea of the contest was dreamed up by somebody I believe from Japan, and I think it was Japan. And what they do is they pick a winner and they actually sell that toy. So you're able to basically pitch a set to Lego. And they have a contest and they follow one and they divulge the winner. I'm not going to give it away because I want you to watch the documentary as well. But it was just really amazing to see how Lego had embraced their fans and their fans' creativity and had benefited from it. Again, going open source. And Hollywood, I think, is at a similar crisis point. And they're choosing to go the litigation route, I think, by and large. They're really coming down, and by Hollywood I mean both movies and television. And they're really going after people, and I think they aren't utilizing the talent that's emerging. For instance, when the Power Rangers fan short came out, directed by the guy who did the Taylor Swift video, who just recently, won an MTV Video Music Award, I at first was against it. I said, you know what? These people have to protect their brand. They have to protect the development of the toy. So I was against it. But after seeing the Lego Brickumentary, I was like, wait a minute. I think I'm going to rethink this, and I think that the people behind Power Rangers should rethink this as well, because they're like, instead of my fighting this, and eventually they came to like an understanding, a compromise with this short, but still, I think that they not only should let this fan kind of content flourish because it calls attention to the brand, but also they should listen to where fans clearly want to see the brand go, instead of being like, no, that's not where we want the brand to go, so we don't want you to offer that as an alternative and get people's hopes up. So I think that after seeing the success the Lego company has had with it, I think Power Rangers should embrace that. Also, Kung Fury. I'm shocked that no one has picked up the Kung Fury filmmaker to go and work in Hollywood in some capacity. I mean, that was just something that really captured the people's attention. I mean, Lego doesn't just take everybody's idea, and they don't reach out to everyone, but I think they're very aware of the fan community, they're very plugged into it, and I think that they are open to good ideas, and I think that's what's really key. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a difference, because Lego, of course, has a tangible product that is the starting point for all these ideas, and there's nothing tangible coming out of Hollywood, right? I mean, ideas and characters are, how do you monetize that, right? I mean, Lego at least has the sales, right? They're like, look how many Lego pieces you must have bought to make that. But anyway, Hollywood has to find their version of this, I think, because I think it's fruitless to fight this, and they should fight, like, for instance, piracy, I think. But I think that piracy should tell them, we aren't making our product available enough on a global scale so that people can acquire it legally, right? That's another thing that they should think about. And I just think that Hollywood, instead of having this knee-jerk reaction of sue, 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 and, claim, 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 YouTube has its own problems, with letting, I think, in Hollywood being a little bit, too difficult and a little bit too forceful, that I think we all run into here on the platform. I think it would benefit them to be more open, to inspire this kind of activity and this kind of discussion, because I think that Hollywood, with comic book movies and potentially video game movies, has finally hit upon something that the fan community is excited about, as they are with Legos, right? That kind of intense involvement and interest and just thinking about it for hours at a time. I think that hasn't been something that movies have experienced before, but as they move into this other terrain, I think that they're going to find that they're running into this kind of fan base more, and they should see that as a resource rather than something they have to fight. So, fantastic documentary. I highly recommend that you watch it. And I think that some altruistic individual should send a copy to everyone who works in Hollywood and be like, you should really pay attention to what Lego has done here, and how much they have benefited financially from that decision. Because, of course, Hollywood, at the end of the day, they only care about money, as any business does. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's money to be made here. I think open source shouldn't be viewed as like some socialist experiment where nobody makes any money. That's not true. I think it actually exponentially increases it. All right, so that's today's morning movie news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please write down below what you think of today's top 3 stories, and congratulations to those winners of the Age of Adeline Blu-ray. Let me know what you'd like to see covered tomorrow and any question that you might have, including you, Stephen. I'm going to be looking out for your questions in particular. All right, thanks so much for watching.